How's it going, nerds? I'm the ManNerd. Welcome back to another episode of Nerd2Nerd, where I get to know a new nerd every episode. I know. You're wondering what a nerd is? Don't worry, I gotcha. A nerd is the delivery driver that brings you your Amazon packages. You know, the one that is always singing that Kelly Clarkson song. Your 5th grade teacher who loves toads is a huge nerd. A nerd is anyone and everyone. Your desires, your political views, your awesome haircut, none of that matters. All that matters is a passion for at least one thing. Today, I am lucky to be joined by GM Sprinks, also known as GM Sprinks. He is a longtime DM and storyteller, and he makes videos on YouTube to help out other nerds out there who love role-playing games. How's it going, GM Sprinks?
Good, doing very good. I love that intro.
Thank you. I try to make it a little different every time, but I'm so excited about that intro every time I say it. Oh, I love it.
That's beautiful. Beautiful for sure.
All right, well, let's just jump into this thing. I want to go straight into your YouTube content. I noticed that you started posting about 11 months ago. Have you been doing anything before that, or is this when you started?
Yeah, that's exactly where I started. So just peak lockdown here in Adelaide, Australia. Didn't really have anything to do. I thought, why not start a YouTube channel? So I thought I'll start talking about D&D, different TTRPGs, and that's kind of how I got started.
Nice. That's actually kind of my story too. I always wanted to play D&D, never really played until our group was like, hey, let's do this. And then we made a podcast out of it. It was awesome.
Yeah, hell yeah. And a good podcast at that as well.
Oh, well, thank you. And I love your videos too. I was just skimming through some more today, and I missed a couple of the new ones. But actually, I'm going to ask you a question. You said that your channel's not really going the direction you want it. So what's going on there?
Yeah, so I kind of wanted to talk about lots of different tabletop RPGs, and I wanted to kind of talk about how to run, how to make a game, and all that sort of stuff. And I kind of got stuck in a habit of talking about one system. And as much as I'm loving and I'm digging the Cypher system, I still do like D&D, like 5th edition, and I'm still looking at other systems. But I don't know, I got a good following of people who like Cypher, so I kept on kind of doing it, and I kind of realized that I don't want to be talking about the same thing. So I just kind of needed a break and reassess, and that's what I've done in the last couple of months.
Okay, yeah, I get that. Yeah, I've seen that you've been definitely going full bore on the Cypher system. Now, I've never actually just used the Cypher system. What would you say is the biggest difference between the Cypher system and D&D?
Yeah, so the Cypher system is a rule-light system that really focuses on storytelling, and as the name Game Muse Sprinkles, I'm a big storyteller at heart, and that's kind of that's kind of what I wanted to do with Cypher. So it kind of allows you to interject into the story to make those moments epic as well. So it's got a mechanic that just a brief mechanic. It's called the GM intrusion, where you can kind of just intrude on the story and make something awesome. So it's not meant to be for using against the players. It can be used for that, but it's just meant to make those epic moments more epic. So for example, you're climbing up a rope and then you go GM intrusion, the rope is fraying. So that way you create those epic scenes, like almost like a movie, those cinematic scenes. Nice. So that's where I love that system. But I'm still looking at other systems, and there's plenty more out there. Who knows, I might find something new in the future as well that I like even better. So
yeah, that actually reminds me of, I've never played it myself, but I listened to a podcast that used the Monster of the Week, and that was pretty cool. That was kind of like what you were saying about it's more story based. The roles and everything were pretty simple, but then the GM can really interject at times.
Yeah. I haven't actually. I've heard very little about Monster of the Week. I haven't really looked into it quite deeply, but it does seem to be very storytelling focused as well. So I will be looking into that. I have been looking into Fate Core as well, which is also very storytelling based, and it's got even less mechanics than Cypher. So it's something I'll be looking into in the future too.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Well, I can't wait to watch those videos. I'm so used to doing podcast stuff. Everything's hearing to me.
Yeah, of course. No, I understand completely.
All right. So, do you do anything other than the YouTube right now? Is that what you're primarily based on, or do you do live streaming like Twitch or anything like that?
So at the moment, I don't do any live stream, but I am looking at starting something in the near future. I have to get my friends together, and I'm not sure if look, my friends are, not to make a stereotypically nerd, but I've got the stereotypical nerd friends that are very bad at organization. So trying to get them together has been quite difficult. And so that's my main challenge. So once I get them in order, we will be doing some streams, and I want to focus on just one shots. So basically 1 week we might be doing something more sci-fi, and then the next week it could be something crazy and absolutely different, and might be more fantasy or more modern, and we can just swap it up. And that way if we get into a really high energy character 1 week, you know, the players aren't going to expect it to keep that energy up the whole time. So you could play 1 week with someone who's high energy, always stealing the spotlight. Then the next week there might be a character who that same player plays a more quiet character who kind of sits in the background. So that way, you know, you can tell a wide range of different stories rather than just following a one long campaign.
Oh yeah, that's great. I love one-shots. And of course, I always go straight towards the goofy aspects if I'm like have anything to do with one. But that's just what I like. But serious ones are good too. I like those. What do you kind of gravitate towards when it comes to one-shots, or do you just do everything?
I do everything. I actually don't run many one-shots because I've just been stuck into a long-winded campaign. Well, not long-winded, but just a long campaign with my players. But I do one-shots just to kind of mix things up. And it always is just fun and zany. Sometimes I just give everybody pre-gen so they don't even get a chance to make a character. And they can just make up the personality on the fly based on the abilities. And that has worked out quite fun and crazy and zany and entertaining. You just don't know what a player's going to come up with. So it's quite good, yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah. I love the aspects of just players being able to do what they want. It turns things so crazy sometimes.
Yeah.
All right. So just before we get away from the YouTube content stuff, I'm kind of wondering, what is one of the main things that you love most about making your videos? Like, what's one of the things that really you're just like, man, I love doing that?
Yeah, so I'm a massive storyteller, so I love a chance where I can use an example from a game or I can use an example in real life to tell a story to help others understand something. So like a good example is I might use a history fact that will help be like, well, this is how it is in history, and you can use that in your game to therefore do X, Y, and Z. And I think that pulling those examples from the real world and other games that I've used is probably my favorite thing to do in my videos.
Oh, that makes such a good storyteller when you can make people relate, or you know, just see it in their head so much better. I love that.
Yeah, 100%.
I want to play a game with you one time. Heck yeah. I'm down to be a player. I'm working on being a DM, but it's going to take a little while.
Well, just on that note, I've always been like the forever DM in my group, and recently my partner has just taken over from my main group and started running a game for me. And it's so
awesome,
so fun. It's so fun to play, but also at the same time, I'm already missing like running a game. So I'm always like itching to run something else. So we can definitely work that out.
Yep. Nice. So let's move into D&D here. I always like to ask this because everybody's story is different. But when did you first start playing D&D? Do you remember your first game?
I do. It actually wasn't that long ago. I've actually only been playing tabletops for about 5 or 6 years now. So about 5 years ago, my best mate from high school, one of his family members gave him a D&D like player's handbook, like 5th edition player's handbook. And he's like, this looks so fun. We should do this one day. And we're like, yeah, we should. And then we never really did anything about it. And we just kind of was like, we don't know how to start. And once again, classic, like my friends are just so unorganized. And finally, one of my other friends found like a Adventurers League where you could come and learn to play, and they had like set rules and stuff to
nice.
abide by. And that's kind of how I got into it. And funnily enough, the first game I played, I'm like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm into this. It seems really nerdy. Do I want to do this? And like, it took me about a month, and I'm like, no, I'm committed to this. And then basically from then, I just started playing D&D. And then after about 5 games, my DM's like, I need a break. Here, read this module. Next week, you're running. And that's just kind of where my love for running came from, that exact moment.
Oh man, trial by fire there.
That's how I do everything in life, is trial by fire. Just drop me in the deep end and sink or swim. So yeah.
Sometimes that's the best way. Sometimes I sink hard. But swimming's fun. Yeah, it seems like you started swimming pretty quickly though. If you've been doing that ever since, you just got a love for that. For DMing right off the bat.
Well, sometimes I did sink for sure. Like I ran a game and my player said, I just felt like I didn't know what was going on. And like you do sink, and like, unfortunately, that does happen. But at the same time, like life isn't D&D. You get experience from failing, not succeeding. So like, yeah. So that's the thing. I grew from that experience, and it's made me the DM I am today. So yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Now, what aspects of RPGs really drew you in that, those first few games? Was it I know you're a big storyteller. Was it storytelling, or was it the character creation or something else that really drew you in?
It was the whole experience. So like, I've always been a huge fan of RPGs. Like I love Dragon Age. I love Skyrim. I love like Mass Effect. Like that'd be my favorite games on the computer. And to have that, still get to create that character, I get to make my own choices in the story, but I can do that on a level that just video games just can't do. Like and honestly, I just don't enjoy RPGs as much as I used to now on computer. So it's just something that I've always loved, and like just be able to do anything and just, you know, the sky's the limit with an RPG. There's nothing you can't do. And now I can't really get into RPGs the same on computers anymore, because, you know, there's only so many story options you can take, which is, you know, because you just can't do that in a video game. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
It's the freedom of choice. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that. Now I'm going to go a little bit back into D&D because I get sidetracked a lot, as you notice. What are 2 of your favorite classes from D&D? I know it's hard to do 2, but I'm doing it.
Okay. Look, I love the Wizard and Warlock. These are actually my favorite classes. Like,
nice.
Because this is the thing, I know Warlocks get a bad rap, but the first 3 levels of Warlock, you get so many awesome things. And as a serial addicted multi-classer, I just love putting a couple levels in Warlock. And I think that's a lot of fun. And also the story that you can build with your character. If you've got a really good DM with a Warlock and trying to balance that relationship with your patron could be so much fun. It's like something I absolutely love. And another thing I love about Wizards is that I just love the idea that you're just a big book nerd, and that's why you can do awesome things. Because someone who loves reading, but I struggle to make time for it, I just like to play that book nerd basically in my RPG. So that's something I love about Wizards as well. So they're definitely my favorite. The spellcasters, I actually love all spellcasters as well, to be honest.
Oh yeah, I'm in love with spellcasters. I've got to branch out more, but man, spellcasters, magic, love it.
yeah, exactly.
You can't get enough. You could do so many things.
Well, that's it. We don't have magic in the real life. Like, God, I wish we did, because it might make something interesting in this boring world that we live in. But we gotta live.
It would also be super chaotic for sure.
Oh hell yeah! I crave chaos though.
Oh man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, talking about chaos, that kind of reminds me of weird things, because chaos and weird things just go together for me. What is the weirdest story you have ever came up with for one of your campaigns or one-shots?
Oh, the weirdest one. Oh, that's tricky. Probably the weirdest, actually, I was actually around it probably like 3 weeks ago. I gave all my players pre-gens, and they had so just a quick background. In Cypher, you have like your class, but then you also have your focus, which gives you abilities based on, like, you might be like you might focus on riding the lightning, which gives you, like, you're really good at lightning-based powers. So basically, I gave them their type, but not their focus. And I didn't tell them, they didn't have any backstory, told them not to make a backstory. And basically said, you have no memory of anything except for waking up in this cell. And as they got along, basically, it was just purgatory. They had died, and they were trying to figure out how they died, what they did in their life to kind of, before they were judged. So they had to be like, okay, am I going to go to hell or heaven here? And they had to work out whether they were good in their life, and they had to try and piece things together before this judge. And so majority of the session was them trying to justify their actions that they barely remembered from their past life, from their life. And it was just a weird, wonderful thing. And we had one person who's just like, I'm going to hell, so I'm just going to try and make it as comfortable as possible by selling my soul to a devil straight off the bat. And like, there was just all that weird and wonderful fun. It was just crazy, actually. It just didn't know what was going to happen. So that was probably my weirdest one.
That sounds fantastic. That is such a cool story. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Ooh. Do you write one-shots that people can run? Because I'm just wondering. That would be awesome.
I don't. Well, not yet anyway. I kind of, I'm working on something. I'm working on a world that I'm building and some one-shots that I want to publish eventually. I just have to get the time to make it right. So, yeah. Maybe in the future.
Okay. Well, you have to let me know.
Will do.
All right. I'm getting personal here.
Perfect.
What are some of your other passions away from tabletop role-playing games, video games, all of that you have?
All right, I am a massive history fan, like especially like classics. So like ancient Greece, ancient Rome, Persian Empire, Scythian steppes. Like I just love that part of history. And it actually works really well because I can blend like fun stories from history, and I can blend that and use that as inspiration into my games. But yeah, I'm a massive fan of history. Like the other day I had a weekend free, and I just sat and watched a like 28-part lecture on like this small little country in like the Bronze Age, and I just found that fascinating. So that's one of my other passions there.
Oh, that's perfect. That actually makes sense because just checking out your world building videos, I can tell. I can totally tell now that you love that. That totally just comes out every time you're talking about world building.
Oh, awesome. Good. I'm glad that comes out then, because that's where all my basis comes from. My world building is from real history. So. Oh,
that's cool. What about one thing from your past that you think back on and say, why did I like that so much? Like an old passion that you're like kind of cringy at right now.
Oh, that's tricky.
I can give you one from me if you need some time.
Yeah, actually, yeah, for sure. What's yours then? Yeah, let's go with that.
All right. Nobody knows this, but when I was in middle school, the Titanic came out, the movie, James Cameron. Mm-hmm. And I was such a nerd on that movie. I saw it 11 times in the theater, and that's a long-ass movie. And I did a report on the Titanic, and I built a model. And the model got put in the movie theater locally. I was such a nerd. I don't know what I was thinking, but I loved it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, you know what? That's just reminded me. So when I was a kid, I was a huge fan of like the Ratchet and Clank video games, to the point where I wrote like spin-off stories and like, I don't know fan fiction, I guess. And I just would write about it all the time, and I would have like new stories. And one time I wrote one about getting sucked into their universe, and like, you know, it was, yeah, I forgot about that until you just told me about the Titanic. Yeah, I was trying to hold that back from my memory, I think.
Yep. Once I wrote that question down, I was like, oh crap, I'm probably just going to have to share the Titanic thing. I did the same thing.
Let's just try and forget that again, okay?
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be on the internet forever.
Okay.
When this makes it,
definitely,
to my podcast. Definitely not. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I had a question. You're in Australia. What part are you in?
I'm in Adelaide, Australia, so the South Australia.
Okay. Now, I've never been there. I don't really know, much that goes on there because I'm kind of ignorant when it comes to other places. But I would love to know what's the D&D community like around where you are and where you grew up.
So very little. Like I actually grew up in the country, and I've just moved to like a capital city in my state now, basically. So probably 8 years ago, not even actually, it would have been about 7 years ago, I moved up into the capital city. Before then, in the country, never heard of D&D, never had a community. But I have noticed since like being on the internet and trying to connect with Twitter, every Australian YouTuber, D&D player, as soon as they learn that I'm Australian, they're just like, oh, another Australian, hell yeah. And they're so excited. Like, I just think, I don't know whether it's the same like when Americans meet other Americans on the internet, but I don't know. There's just some camaraderie there. So it's really good, I guess. I know I've had nothing but positive experiences in, I've had bad experience. I wouldn't say nothing but positive, but I've had mostly good experiences when I was going to the store and paying in Adventurers League there, and I've met a lot of great people through Adventurers League, and yeah, so I think like, it's very good, in my area anyway. I don't know about the rest of Australia though.
Oh, that's cool. Well, talking about other people, in Australia, you probably know Fate's Grip then, right?
Oh, hell yeah, I love Fate's Grip. Every now and then I send them a message to see how they're doing, because I love their crew. They're amazing, yeah.
Oh, I love them too. We actually had Venice on our podcast for like 4 episodes. It was awesome.
Oh, nice. I'm still getting through your podcast. It's just one of those things. I've got so many podcasts I'm trying to listen to. So
I know.
Eventually
I do the same thing.
Eventually I'll get up to that one then.
Yeah. Well, it gets better. It's, we started out not knowing anything about recording or anything and just kind of built our way. So we definitely got a lot better as we went. And I'm proud of where we made it.
Oh, hell yeah.
And, where I am today with my new podcast.
And so you should be. And like my first few videos were trash. Like my first video I ever put up on YouTube was like the reasons why I left D&D, which was definitely a clickbait title, just FYI. I still play D&D. Was awful.
Oh, that got me right off the bat. I was like, why did he leave D&D?
Yeah, exactly. And it was a great video to start with, but the audio quality was awful because I just had no idea how to deal with audio. I had no idea how to edit. I had no idea. So, I've learned so much since that short amount of time, and like yeah, your first one's always going to be rough.
Oh, and it's so fulfilling when you like make those little steps like, ooh, I took the echo out. Ooh, I made my voice sound fuller. I love this. You just get these little tiny steps as you go. I love that.
Yeah, that's it. And it's amazing when you do make those progress steps. And like, you know, I had some feedback on Reddit on one of my videos, and they were very rude about it. But, you know, they actually, if you took out all like their like attacks, there was a lot of actually really good feedback in there. Like they talked about how like there was no background behind me. There was nothing to look at because beside a blank wall. They talked about how like I seem to not really have much expression in my voice. And once I realized, I was like, okay, well, I just kind of said thank you, even though it was such a rude comment. And then I like, you know, started filming with like little knickknacks behind me. And then I started trying to be more like smile in the videos and like more emphasis and try and speak more clearly and just take all that feedback on board. Because in negative feedback, there's always something you can learn from it, even if it does just seem like someone's just being a jerk. And I did grow from that. So that was a really good experience.
Oh, definitely. And I've noticed your hair looks amazing most of the time. I'm jealous, mostly because I'm balding. Oh. That's just how it is.
Look,
you're jealous of people with good hair.
you would not believe how much time I spend trying to get my hair right. And now in the most latest videos, I started to try to curl my mustache up a little bit. And I spend a good like 15, 20, sometimes 40 minutes trying to get that right before I start filming.
Oh, well, it shows because I'm like, damn, look at that hair and that mustache. Mustache wax and everything.
Oh, thank you. I don't know what to say. I'm blushing over here.
All right. So we covered the, well, kind of. I definitely want to jump more into the D&D community in Australia, but we don't have the time. So we're just going to move on.
Yeah.
How has your love for role-playing games and storytelling bled over into your professional life? Or is that just a passion that's been separate?
It has bled over into my personal life. Like I tell... Like recently, probably 4 months ago, I changed roles at work and I've become a team leader. And I tell everyone like what I'm into. You know, I talk about D&D to them. And I don't know why, but I just feel like the need to try and convince everyone that they should try it. I want to like convert everyone. I feel like I'm like a leader of a cult and trying to get everyone into D&D. So everyone I meet, I try and be like, you should do it. I'll run you a game. It'll be fine. So, you know, I've got all these people at work now who they want me to run them a game. So one day I'll eventually get around to doing that as well. So yeah, I think it's a big part of me, and it comes into every part of my personality, work, personal, family, all that.
Oh, nice. Yeah, mine's definitely bled into every aspect of my life too.
Yeah.
Even though it's not really part of my work, I still just talk about it and all the time.
Yeah.
Just can't stop.
That's it.
D&D is kind of life right now.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm like, why didn't I do that when I was younger? I always looked, like you said, you know, you think, oh, that's way too nerdy. Like I always knew people that did stuff like that. They played Magic the Gathering, they played D&D, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of nerdy. I'm not really going to do that. And now look at me. I can't stop.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. Like it took me a month to fully commit to playing D&D, and now I'm in the deep, and I couldn't get out even if I wanted to. Now I don't think.
No way. It's like a lifelong passion.
Yeah, that's it.
For sure.
100%. Yeah.
So, what is something that I'm gonna go maybe if you don't want to talk about any of this is cool. But, you know, sometimes it's uplifting. So is there something in your life that you've struggled with that you've been able to overcome? Something that might help other people in the future? I know I have my things.
Yeah, well, look, I have like, you know, I really struggle to talk to an audience. I do find it very exhausting to be in a social situation for a long period of time, and talking in front of a camera actually like terrifies me still. And like it takes me a long time to get comfortable talking to a camera. Like in my videos, like most of them are around the 10-minute mark, and sometimes I have like an hour of footage to sift through because I'm just so nervous and so like panicking and like stuff. So like, look, it is something that I have to deal with every time I film, and if anyone has the same thing and you do want to do it, don't let that stop you. It just might mean it takes you a bit longer to get into that rhythm to do that in front of that video. So that's my take there. It's something I do struggle with, but yeah, I don't really have anything major that I struggle with. I'm pretty lucky, to be honest, in that regard. So I don't really have anything severe that I struggle with. So I'm pretty lucky in that regards.
Well, that is a good one, because something like that can actually just stop people from doing what they want and being happy. Just the fact that, like you, where would you be if you just would not speak in front of a camera, or did not, branch out and start doing more storytelling? Where would you be without that?
Yeah, well, that's a good point. Like, I wonder whether, because I've definitely got better with it, and I wonder whether that's really helped me in my work at where I work. I wonder if that's really helped me excel there, because I have been communicating more in front of a camera, and that's made me more comfortable to do it, and therefore that's come across and made me get to where I am today. I don't know, maybe it was, or maybe there was another reason, but I think for sure it's been a big aspect of my life to help me be more comfortable in who I am as well. So I'm not trying to hide this part of me, because for a long time I did hide that I played D&D because I felt like it was really nerdy. But I mean, I think the community is huge now with Critical Role. I don't have to worry about that anymore, but it was something that I did hide a part of me for a long time. So yeah,
that can be kind of rough when you're like, I love it, but man. And I can kind of relate to what you were saying about, being nervous speaking in front of people. I was in a choir for a long time. And, I would sing next to people. And then when I started trying solo stuff, which I'm not very good at singing, but pretty good in a choir, I would get so nervous that my voice would shake and my whole body would shake. And I would just have to keep on doing it until eventually I'd just be nervous and my voice wouldn't shake. So that felt good, just pushing yourself to do that more. And doing that, I think, led to me being able to do something like this, feel more comfortable talking.
Yeah, that's it. And
it definitely helped.
And I still get nervous in front of a camera. It doesn't affect my filming as much as it used to. And I do find sometimes if I'm really nervous, I'll have a drink, like I'll have a beer or something, just a bit of alcohol, just to take the edge off. And that's helped me as well. Not that I'm not saying that's what everyone should do, but I know that's something that helped me. So
yeah. It can definitely take the edge off. I know that.
Yeah, that's it.
I never did it singing, though. I should have, though.
Yeah, no,
oh, man.
You might have improved. Well, if you have enough, you'll improve. You'll think you will anyway.
Yeah. Or be more boisterous about it.
Yeah, one of the two.
Like, is that guy really doing that? This isn't a musical.
Yeah, that's it.
So before we wrap it up, a couple more things to talk about.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for any content creators coming up? It could be in the D&D world or just anything, really. Twitch streamers, whatever. Do you have any advice for them from your experience that you've been doing this for a while now?
Yeah, look, I'm no expert. There's people out there who've been doing this longer than me, of course, but I think the biggest advice is like, just because, you might not feel like you're making much success, just keep doing it and don't focus on the numbers. Just focus on what you can change. So keep focusing on like what you can do better in your videos, see what you don't really like, and try and fix that rather than the numbers. Because like at the end of the day, I think most people would agree that success would be good to get from your podcast or your content, but it shouldn't be the main goal. You should be focusing on enjoying it and if you do enjoy it and you do so with passion, the success will come in one way or another eventually.
Even if the success is from within and not really, your biggest dreams of becoming famous.
That's it.
You can still be successful if you love it.
100%. Yeah. That's it. That's exactly what I mean.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I just condensed down what you said to something simple. That's one of my things I do.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, I would like to share where people can check you out. So I see that you have a YouTube. So why don't you tell us about your YouTube and your other social media and where people can support you?
Awesome. Cool. Well, I do have a YouTube. I am GM Sprinkles there. I also have a Twitter, which is now, it used to be Sprinks DM, but I've also made that GM Sprinkles. I'm mainly active on Twitter, and I also now have a TikTok, which I'm doing like little short videos on, and I plan on releasing a lot more short videos. I'm about to do a 30 days of world building video every day on on a world building challenge, so stay tuned for that. Otherwise, I do have a coffee. You can support me on there. All the links are on any of my social medias. You'll see them there. But yeah, mainly I'm going to be focusing on TikTok and YouTube, and I'll do a bit of Twitter as well.
All right, cool. And I know you talked about coffee. Do you have anything else like a Patreon, or is that it for now?
I've only got coffee for now, but stay tuned. Once I get things going, I am expecting to have a Patreon in the future. So keep an eye out for that.
Awesome. And when you do, let me know and I will post it.
Awesome, will do.
All right, so we're at the end, man. So this is my outro challenge. And today's theme is going to be storytelling. Mm-hmm. So we're each going to go. I'll just go first because I've got one in mind. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to start playing the music, and then we're just going to go for it. And we're both going to have an outro. It's going to be awesome.
Okay, cool.
In a world of mind-blowing magic, mythical creatures and heroes, one person stands out among them all. His powers exceed those around him. His heart keeps growing. His compassion is ever present. The ManNerd stands for all that is nerdy in this world. See his story unfold on the next ManNerd podcast.
Awesome. It seems like a boring story, a normal one that you've heard 100 times. There's a princess being captured by a dragon. The heroes go to save her, but there's a twist. The dragon is the captured one, tied up for a sacrifice for this princess, a sorcerer who's here to sacrifice the dragon for more souls so she can live for eternity. What will happen next?
Oh, I love it. Oh, that's amazing.